I joined the Marines in 2007, about a year after high school, and I loved it. Went on leave, we packed all of our stuff up. My friend came and picked me up. We were just heading down the road, and I guess kind of like goofing off like kids will do. We hit a tree and the car burst into flames. I broke my pelvis, collapsed a lung. I broke my jaw in 3 places, my nose, my cheeks. He died on impact. Woke up in the hospital after being in a coma for a month. I couldn't move my legs. The nerve that goes down into your legs, when my pelvis broke, it stretched that out. The burns, all these are 4th degree burns. I thought 3rd degree was as worse as it got. 4th degree is when it goes down into muscle and fat, and it starts to burn away bones and everything. Things didn't get better from that, they only got worse. And then it irritates you that people come and try to talk to you about it if God has a plan for you. With infantry Marines, there's not really a place for God. So it was more of an irritation. I was trying really hard, really hard, enduring a lot of pain, going to physical therapy every single day, going to the gym. I could barely walk. When they finally decided to replace my hip, they tested my body's inflammation, and it was 3 times what normally a person could endure. A few years after that, when the Marine Corps invaded Afghanistan, I felt kind of worthless because I wasn't able to help them. I had a friend that was killed. He stepped on the ID. I had to go present the flag to his family. A week after that, it just really ripped me apart. I didn't want to go anywhere. Sitting in my apartment alone, ignoring phone calls, only getting up and going to work, just depressed. The papers for my retirement come through. When you took away the Marine Corps from me without anything else, I didn't really have a purpose. I remember just being in a full-on rage. It just wouldn't calm down. And I remember thinking that I cannot deal with this for the rest of my life. Sitting there for a while on the edge of my bed with the pistol sitting right there, and I put it up to my chin and I pulled the trigger, and it stopped right when it hit my head. And it didn't knock me out, it just felt like I got hit in the face with a sledgehammer. I was dumbfounded. I was completely awestruck. It wasn't like a light came down onto me or anything. It was just kind of, man, there's got to be a God. I could definitely feel like a transformation in my heart, that maybe even without the Marine Corps, I'll have a purpose. And there were all these questions that I had now. I just didn't know what the answers to any of them were. After I shot myself, I started having seizures a little while after that. I had this really bad seizure and I fell and I fractured my skull. And almost died. Spent a week in a coma. I spent 2 months back home, couldn't even think. My head was just, I had blood coming out of my ears still. I just remember laying there, had been making a lot of bad choices, and just overridden with guilt. It was just like, look, man, you gotta get up, you gotta change this. I knew God, I knew Christ, I knew everything, but at that moment was kind of when I really just surrendered to God, not holding on to anything else. I just started concentrating completely on God. So I kept having really bad health problems in all that period. I was having to eat just ridiculous amounts of food and was still not putting on a lot of weight. I remember a lot of this not sleeping. I'd never sleep. I went to the doctor for years and years and years and always was like, my hip hurts, my hip hurts. They look at it as drug seeking. Years go by. I overdid it one day and I got a cyst about, it looked like somebody took a baseball and threw it into the side of my leg, right on the incision scar. And it was just getting bigger and bigger and it was turning black. Finally, when I kept going to the ER about it, they cultured it and they're like, oh, this is MRSA, the flesh-eating bacteria, the antibiotic-resistant form of staph. And so then I had to stay in the hospital. They took all the hardware in my body out, all of it. I didn't have a hip and they had to leave it out for 7 months. And that was a hard time. I just endure. I think that God kind of sent me through his own boot camp as far as toughening me up. Because even in the period without a hip, my faith had become so strong. And I think all that comes from God, from prayer for me. And then they put the hip back in. And since then, it's just the peace I've been looking for came back after a few months. Able to think, able to sleep. It's just amazing. Walking every day, walking miles every single day. It's nice to be able to enjoy life again after all this time. I don't think I could have gotten through any of that without God. And we live in such a fallen society that it's hard to heal people spiritually. You may treat the symptoms of it, but your problem is your spirit is broken. There's no medicine for a broken spirit except for God.